riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey. With me, as always, co-host extraordinaire, Townsend to my cruise, Timothy Richardson. Tim, how you doing, Townsend?
Not great, buddy.
Why, God damn it. What's your problem now?
Garrett, I don't know how familiar you are with something called critical race theory. Don't feel bad if you hadn't heard of it. I hadn't until just about a week ago. Anyway, I was really excited. Seemed like a conversation I could really contribute to.
No, I doubt it.
Turns out, not the same thing as simply having theories which are critical of the various races, and people get really goddamn sensitive about it, and frankly, they hurt my feelings a little bit.
I'm sure you did it first.
I don't think so.
Oh my goodness, critical race theories.
I kept it very general. Also, have you noticed that Tom B. Rady seems to have adopted a couple of kittens? Is that it?
Yeah, what's the deal with that?
I don't know. There's just cats in our house now. The dogs
which I
hate them.
Yeah, and I'm with them. I don't like them either.
Yeah, I mean, they're adorable. They're adorable, but they're constantly hiding from vicious barking dogs, which is an issue.
And I'm pretty allergic.
Yes, and here's the thing, because I noticed that Gino was talking about Giuseppe and Luca, and I assumed that was the cats, because we have two kittens now. Turns out we have two new interns from Italy, Giuseppe and Luca. You didn't sign off on these guys, did you?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Giuseppe and Luca.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're related to Gino.
Gino, you do not have hiring authority, even though they're unpaid. All right, well, we'll put them to the toilet test later. We'll give them the toilet test. If they can clean it in under an hour, they can have the job. Tim, toilet test aside, illegal Italian immigrants aside, I should say, because we all know they don't have papers.
No, well, that's the thing, Garrett. Even if they do, we make sure that they don't have their papers.
Well, sure, we don't want them scampering off into the night. Tim, what song have we been listening to for an entire week straight?
We have been listening to the as of today, maybe not forever, but as of today, one-hit wonder in the year 2525, Exordium und Terminus by Zager and also Evans, released at some point in 1969.
Yeah, so that's a mouthful. Just to be clear, so everybody's not confused, title of the song is In the Year 2525, parentheses, Exordium and Terminus.
Excuse me.
Exordium
Terminus! Yeah, it's also pronounced Exordium und Terminus.
Welcome back to Exordium und Terminus. In this episode, we will get all the way to the center of climax and claw our way out to Terminus.
Yes, with leeches.
This is the part where we dance! Anyway, Timmy, after an entire week with Exordium and his Terminus, do you hate this song?
I don't hate it, but I was severely disappointed by it.
Okay, that's fair. I can see that.
What about you, friend? Do you hate this song?
I don't hate it, but I was severely is the wrong word, but I was incredibly irritated by it by the end of the week.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's a little repetitive.
Yeah, and it's not we'll get there. We can probably wait on the mockery.
Before we do, prior to this week, Tim, I am very curious. Had you had any experience with Zager and Evans? Had you ever heard In the Year 2525? Is this the first time your Exordium has been terminused?
Well, Garrett, I am, of course, a big fan of their previous song, Mr. Turnkey. We'll get there in a bit. But I have basically no history with this song. I don't remember hearing this on the oldies radio station driving around Houston with my dad, although I must have heard it a few times. But I do have a lot of history with In the Year 2525 from one of the better second-run Futurama episodes, the late Philip J. Fry. That is my definite version. It's way more fun than this. I will probably be putting lyrics from that into the lyric section of this episode. That is the 1998 to the Godzilla that is this song. I will definitely be referring to it throughout, often to the detriment of this episode.
Yeah, sounds like it.
In the year 1.5 million, humankind is enslaved by giraffe.
Oh, yeah, I remember this now.
Regal giraffes eating single leaves off trees while being chauffeured around by people. It is delightful. Anyway, that's what I was hoping for more with this song. I was assuming it was going to be more fanciful. We'll get there. Garrett, have you heard this song before? Have you ever had your Exordium Terminus? Oh.
The moan at the end will be bleeped.
That was actually Gino.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a noise he makes sometimes.
We should go see if he's leaking. Anyway, prior...
Gross.
Just leave that as a general comment. Could be anything. Solid, liquid, or gas. Plasma? Yikes. Get that plasma back in that old man. Prior to this week, had I heard Exordium und Terminus? No, of course not. I've never heard this song. Had no idea that the Futurama gag was a reference to this. Happy to be a bit smarter. Gotta say the Futurama song is better.
Now, may I ask it this way? Have you ever placed your Exordium into a Terminus?
Of course I have, Tim.
Gross.
Fully grown
Jesus
adult male.
Christ. Ew.
Wait, what?
Ew.
Oh, maybe I misunderstood the question. Exordium in the Terminus? Yeah, of course.
Oh,
of course.
Well, let me repeat then. Gross.
It was the early aughts, Tim. We're all just doing whatever.
Yeah.
Tips were frosted, clothes were baggy, glasses were tiny, and Exordiums were deep in Termini.
Yes, you were setting fire to towns in Central America.
Yep, that's what I definitely thought that meant.
Villages.
I'm curious. I assume I know the answer, but I am legitimately curious. You have no idea what Exordium and Terminus is, right?
Oh, of course, Garrett. I know all about it.
Great. Can't wait.
Oh, I'm not going to discuss it, Garrett. There are certain key phrases that certain groups would like to keep to themselves.
Did you join some sort of secret society?
I did not, but I was contacted by one that asked me to make Exordium and Terminus sound like a gross sex thing instead of the world ender? No, that's too much.
Terraforming engine? Is that the wrong phrase?
It is, yeah. It doesn't really build things. It's more of a... you ever see a volcano? Like an active volcano?
Sure.
Imagine that, but everywhere.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Sort of like an apocalypse situation.
Yeah.
With a K.
What?
The Superman, remember?
Oh, no. Like an actual apocalypse.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Okay, well, that aside, Timmy, that's your history. That's my history. That is to say, we have no history. Before we can talk about this very weird song that Tim demanded we do.
I thought it was going to be more like the Futurama song.
Not a single giraffe. It is customary here on the show to learn a little bit about the people who made it. So, Tim, take us on a journey. Help us understand who is Exordium and how did this Terminus come to be?
Well, Garrett, Denny Exordium Zager and Rick Terminus Evans were a rock pop duo from Nebraska. Now, alone, they don't even warrant individual Wikipedia pages, and together, they pretty much don't warrant a Wikipedia page.
Ouch.
Yeah. Zager was born Valentine's Day, 1944 in Weimar, Nebraska. Evans was born in 1943 in Lincoln, Nebraska. They both went to Nebraska Wesleyan University. They met in 1962. Drummer and son of Oscar Schindler, Danny Schindler, joined them in the band The Eccentrics, pretty good name for a band, but then he got shipped off to Vietnam in 1965.
Got a quick question about that.
Yes.
Son.
Yes.
Schindler.
Yes. You're thinking of Schnitzel.
I am not.
Oh.
I am thinking of a man with a list.
Yes. Son of Oscar Schindler.
Are you... I didn't do the research.
I
don't know about
you're thinking
this.
of the Schnitzel again. Anyway, at this point, Zager also quit, but he would be back soon enough. Or no, excuse me, Evans quit. They eventually decided to name themselves Zager and Evans. They got other Nebraskaites, including Mark Dalton on bass, Dave Trupp on drums, to play with them. It was unclear why they were so intent on keeping everything in Nebraska, but I'm sure an insistence on regionality won't hurt them nationally in the future. Again, Evans left in 1965 and only to return in 1968, but when he came back, he had a vision, an incredibly clear vision of the future. The song of the week in the year 2525, Exordium Exordium und Terminus, was originally written in 1964 before Evans left, so I kind of suspect what happened was he didn't want to share any of the credit with Zager, but then once he got out on his own, realized he had no real musical talent on his own, so he brought it back and they did it together. Whatever the case, they recorded the song in 1968 in Odessa, Texas, and released it in 1969. Now, I don't want to get into just how well it did yet, but I'm gonna a little bit, because this song was the number one single in the US when Neil Armstrong faked that first step onto the moon, and also a number one single in the US a month later when James Hendrix faked that version of the Star-Spangled Banner at Woodstock. This was the song that was the most popular during those two cultural touch points. Zager and Evans, not Hendrix, not the Beatles, not the Rolling Stones, not the Grateful Dead, not even Joplin. Zager and his weird buddy Evans that had a song called In the Year 2525 that is, and we will discuss this, quasi-religious nonsense about nothing, and also two words that the deep state would like to keep under wraps.
I doubt that.
It did so well, actually, that there's an Italian version, Nel Anno. Fuck you, Gino. That was fine. That was much better than your English. Nel Anno 2033. I guess nothing rhymes with 5 in Italian. Also, the B-sides to this is called Little Kids, and it seems to be about a guy that wanted to marry a small girl he used to play with as a child, but she grew up and then didn't want to marry him. I think it is weird. Slightly weirder, they then attempted to follow this song up with a song called Mr. Turnkey. Now that song, Garrett, is about a man in Wichita Falls who meets a young lady in a bar. She irresponsibly leads him on without ever intending to allow him to make love to her. So, yeah, as you would expect, because it's 1969 and this is a song about this, he forcibly makes love to her. He feels guilty about it. He might go to jail. It's a little unclear. He eventually nails his own left wrist to the wall and then maybe hangs himself. It is unclear why they wrote that song. It's unclear why after writing that song they would perform and release that song, but I guess it's a slightly better message than that gross Sublime song.
Yeah, I mean, a little.
Yeah.
Nails his wrist to the wall and may or may not hang himself after humbling someone. After humbling
Jesus Christ.
Not our words.
Right.
Jesus's.
It was Jesus's, yes. And that's pretty much it. The one song of note and two gross songs no one's ever heard, no one ever should hear. They are the only act to have a number one single in both the US and UK and then never have another charting song ever again in either of those countries. Their
amazing
record company released a few other records trying to basically milk the success of In the Year 2525, Exordium und Terminus, but nothing came of any of that. I think they had maybe 2 or 3 total records. They stopped being a band in 1971. Evans recorded a few things with some other people. No one wanted any of that. Zager now builds custom guitars in Lincoln, Nebraska. Evans died in 2018. The music lives on, I guess, sorta, LaFace.
Shia LaBeouf question mark. I'm not entirely sure it lives on. I'd never heard it before, but I'm so glad you recommended it. That Mr. Turnkey is terrifying. We will not be doing it on the show.
No, but we might play some of it after we play some of this song, and just out of morbid curiosity.
Yeah, maybe not though. Anyway, great history, Tim. Really managed to make a meal out of nothing. Which brings us to the song itself. Before we talk about it, let's maybe listen to a bit of it. Gino, cue it up. Play the tape.
In the year 45, ain't gonna need your teeth.
And now, Garrett, let's hear a little bit of that Futurama version.
Well, okay, let's focus on the song at hand. Not a bad song.
Musically, it's fine. Yeah, I kind of enjoy it. It's folk pop. It's got an air of psychedelia to it. It fits its era fairly well, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely piggybacking a little bit off of some of the production from what's his face likes to stick guns in women's mouths and eventually shoot them.
Phil Spector,
that's it. Why I can't remember his name is beyond me. Yeah, it's got a bit of that Phil Spector love of the Spanish guitar, and you get the mariachi sound with the trumpets, and it sounds a little bit like the soundtrack to Desperado or Sergio Leone movie.
Yeah, it has if it weren't singing about the future, if it were singing about like seedy 1970s LA, it would fit well in a Tarantino movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The drums had a very Paint It Black type feel to it, the sort of driving drums.
Yeah, it's kind of got the musically, closest I could come to would be like a Neil Diamond, You'll Be a Woman Soon.
Yes.
In fact, it is in a Tarantino movie. But that driving guitar, the drums, that's a good call. Very, very forward in the mix. Can't ignore it. And that's all to say, musically, not bad.
Yeah.
The song itself, simple enough format, nothing crazy there. Disappointing though. So I guess we can kind of tip the general theme here. In the year 2525, we're going to begin in the year 2525 and journey into the future with predictions made about what is to come for man.
Yes.
And I got to say, Tim, I think you hit the nail on the head. I'm disappointed with their creativity.
Yeah. And I'm disappointed because they do we're jumping forward 1,010 years every time until that becomes even slightly inconvenient. And then we're just not.
Yeah.
And then we're going back to it.
It's a great idea that they got very lazy about quickly.
Almost immediately. Because again, well, we'll get to it. The very first verse, they don't even really finish. Yeah. This has a great hook. And like you said, it's pretty immediately boring. Yeah. Because it's remarkably uninventive given what they had to work with. Like 10,000 years of human history.
That's a blank slate to write whatever you want.
Throw some regal giraffes in there, man.
I would have had the dinosaurs come back. Who saw that coming?
I think we all did.
Wait, what?
You've seen the movies.
Yeah, but I was thinking about like evolutionarily. They evolved back into existence
Interesting.
and became our overlords. Last little bit of trivia that I picked up before we get into the lyrics themselves. Apparently, so this song was fairly popular, as Tim mentioned. It was at least in the top of the charts for an entire month in 1969. But part of the reason that it resonated with people is that they were too worried that in 1969, modern man had become too dependent on technology. Yeah, what technology were they referring to? The automobile? Like 1969, we were not doing a lot.
Yeah. Pre-rolled cigarettes?
The adding machine?
I don't know what that could possibly mean.
I don't either. TV, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean...
None of the truly destructive technology had really made it on the scene yet.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
All right, well, let's get into it. Song opens. In the year 2525, if man is still alive, if woman can survive, they may find. And then it just abruptly stops.
Right. So your very first opportunity to make a prediction about the future, and you don't even bother. I mean, I guess it's kind of nice because they let you know right up front that they're not going to be coming up with much, so you don't have to really listen to the rest of this, but we do. We have to listen to it at least 10 times this week.
Yeah. And now I'm curious, Tim, it did spark one at least mildly unique thought into my little brain, and that is when they say, if man is still alive, if woman can survive. I started to think, if only one gender could survive, which one is more likely? I'm curious what your opinion is. I am not technically a doctor, though I have served in that capacity in more than 14 states, and will answer to doctor, but I am not legally one. But I feel like, and all of this is science fiction, but it would be easier to potentially create a fake spermazoa than it would be to create a fake egg.
Well, it wouldn't matter. It would have to be ladies because you can't just Arnold Schwarzenegger this thing.
Well, sure, but you could probably create an artificial womb.
No.
That doesn't seem that hard.
It seems pretty hard. It seemed way more hard.
It's a warm sack with nutrients. I can get you a warm sack of nutrients in 45 minutes.
If men are dying out and women are not dying out, essentially, you just, you know how many sperm are in a single, what do you call it? Jism.
Yeah.
A lot. I don't know the number, but like probably more than 10.
The year 2493 began the Great Jerk.
Yeah, exactly. That would be fine.
For 14 straight months, the entire male population was milked 24/7.
Right. The point is that to keep only women alive, if you plan slightly ahead, all you need is a couple of refrigerators. You'll be fine.
Well, yeah, but you got to have diversity. That's the thing.
Well, yeah, of course. You got to you got to get a bunch of guys. You probably want to mix it all together so it's just a random chance of what you're going to get. Just have
That's the first bad idea you've had today.
No.
Don't do that.
I'm picturing just like, like a butter churner, but like a gigantic one, like a we'll say like a 35,000 gallon thing with just this mechanical. But to make sure that the world's entire population gets as mixed as possible.
In here is where we churn the cum. Why?
Oh. Yeah, so basically that.
Thank God you're dying out in this scenario. Your idea is bad.
Well, I'm sure, Garrett, I'm sure they'll use my idea.
No, they'll harvest for sure, but there's not going to be any giant churning machine, and you're not going to mix it all together for sure. God. Oh, I'm going to throw up. All right, song continues.
It's like, well, but here's the thing. It's like cement. If you leave it sitting out too long at room temperature, that's going to congeal. So you're going to want to keep it moving. If you want to transport it, I would assume you would get a gigantic cement truck and just sort of, drive it around and keep it rolling about.
All right, that makes a little more sense.
Right.
I think it comes down to ice cube trays. Just millions of ice cube trays.
Oh, absolutely. You'd want to get some of them in the mix too.
In the mix everybody has ice cube trays. They could do it at home and freeze their sperms.
What I'm saying is you get that big churning thing. You could just drag that ice cube tray through that and fill up all those ice cube tray holes at once and then stick it right in your fridge.
Why are we churning it? Why are we churning? Why does it have to move?
So it doesn't congeal.
Not freeze it. You freeze it so it doesn't congeal.
Well, right, but you've got to it's got to be mobile enough that you can disseminate it, if you will.
No.
Pardon the pun.
No.
In the year 3535, ain't gonna need to tell the truth, tell no lies. Everything you think, do, and say is in the pills you took today.
Do the pills control what you do, think, and say, or is it literally just your food?
So I assume they're talking about you're going
Mind
to be
control.
like ADHD medication. You're essentially everything. Your brain
that
is
dreadful Equilibrium film.
Yes, there you go.
But less stupid.
Yeah, and better.
Twice as much gun jujitsu, though.
Yes, and also really don't run out of the budget before you do that explosion at the end. It was embarrassing.
Yeah, really. Looks terrible. Anyway, so yeah, they're taking mind control pills. Maybe it's so that they can slowly phase men out. Or it's so that you, it's so that you get up in the morning, you go to your regional milking station, get milked, go about your day for the incoming gender side.
Ooh, I like that.
Yep. In the year 4545, ain't gonna need your teeth, won't need your eyes. You won't find a thing to chew, nobody's gonna look at you. I get what they're saying, but teeth and eyes first, I say no. My money is on legs.
Yeah, sure. You want to do that sort of a Wall-E chair, right?
Well, yeah, not to mention diabetic neuropathy is always just around the corner for millions of Americans.
True.
May not be any real food left, so maybe it's just pills and stomas and IVs. Is there a butthole? Do we have a butthole in the year 4545?
We do. They would have definitely mentioned that. If it said, ain't gonna need your teeth, eyes, or butthole, you won't find a thing to chew, no one's gonna look at you, there will be no poo.
It fits. Maybe it's the words that aren't said we need to listen to the most.
Like holy jeans.
Right. In the year 5555, your arms are hanging limp at your side. Your legs got nothing to do. Some machine's doing that for you. First, I was picturing Wall-E style rascals, just, obese people being hovered about. But then I started to think, why does it have to be so boring? Why would everybody settle for a rascal? If we're all moving about in mechanical apparati, I'd vote for giant spider exoskeleton.
Well, sure, but you have to understand we're listening to Zager and Evans. They don't have that amount of creativity. I would vote for, again, since we're discussing giraffes, cut that giraffe head off and cut me off at about the waist and then sew me to the stump of a giraffe, and then I could just walk around as the head of a giraffe.
The only reason not to do that is, and I do mean the only one.
If it's an animal welfare thing, we could use a robot giraffe.
It wasn't.
Oh, carry on then.
Robot giraffe. If it was going to be a robot giraffe, why not just be a robot man?
Because I want to ride atop a giraffe neck.
Oh, God.
Did you know that giraffes have the exact same number of vertebrae that people do?
Yes.
Oh, I apologize for repeatedly
saying opening my Snapples and reading the lids and not drinking them.
Snopple.
God.
They're called Snopple.
They're not. Anyway, back to the only reason not to do your stupid giraffe head thing is that you have no arms. You need arms.
Well, okay, but maybe I've got, so I do have arms. They're just hanging limp at my sides because my head's head's already where leaves are.
How far down the body would you have to preserve in order to sew it onto another body?
I mean, again, I'd want to go...
I think you got to go at least waist up, because I've seen waist up people. Those people exist.
Yeah, but like, I mean... So
That's
here's the
gonna
thing.
look weird on top of a
Here's the
giraffe
thing.
neck.
I'm going to want to keep my genitals and butthole.
Oh, well, that's... Yeah.
So here's what I'm
You're
considering.
going to put the giraffe neck on the human body, plop that head on top.
No. I'm going to cut myself just slightly beneath the butthole and then sew that onto a giraffe. So my ass is sticking above the neck. I assume it's going to get gross. But like, otherwise I'm just human centipeding a giraffe, and that's not going to work.
I'm telling you, man, I think you're going to want to put that neck on your human body and then plop your head on top. Because then you can put the head back on the giraffe body and you both win.
So I'm just replacing my head with a giraffe. Or sorry, I'm just replacing my neck with a giraffe.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's still going to be pretty tall.
Yeah, but here's the problem. My weak body is not going to be able to support that, especially with...
Well, you're going to have to work out.
It's a really big neck, friends.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I tell you what, though. I mean, listen, I like your initial idea. I think it will not be long before you rapidly regret not having arms.
Yeah, true. Maybe what I could do is I could sew my arms down on the shoulder level of the giraffe. So
but like anatomy-wise, that's not going to work. Like they don't have the anatomy to support arms. They can support a head. They already got a head. Swap out that spinal cord and bing, bang, boom, you're a giraffe. There's no part of that's arms. I mean, I guess you could swap out the front legs, but oh my God.
I like it.
Oh, what if you walked around on your hind legs with your weird human arms, but you're a giraffe body?
Somebody get to drawing this, please.
Oh my God, please draw this. All the versions. Every version we just said.
Yes.
In the year 6565, ain't gonna need no husband, won't need no wife. You'll pick your sons, pick your daughters too, from the bottom of a long glass tube. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Again.
No more procreation or just no sexing for babies?
I assume no more sexing for babies. I assume it's a genetic engineering thing, right? They're specifically saying you're going to pick characteristics.
But it's not a Demolition Man thing.
No, I don't think so.
I don't want to live in that world.
Well, no one does. I want Wesley Snipes just murdering everywhere. That haircut was great.
I do want Dennis Leary somehow banned to the.
I don't think you're going to have to ban him. I think he's just people naturally find their level, and his is sewer monster.
He's a sewer monster. Okay, I'm just down here smoking. Okay, Dennis, we're gonna put this lid on. Okay. Okay. Anyway, let's see. Anything else in here? Okay, yeah, I think you're right. That you can just pick the characteristics. More Gattaca, less Demolition Man.
Yeah, but again, not very inventive.
No, not at all. And speaking of not very inventive, and listen, we've been doing this show a long time. I got a thick skin. I'm used to nonsense, but for whatever reason, this really pissed me off. Next verse. In the year 7510, if God's a-comin', he ought to make it by then. Maybe he'll look around himself and say, guess it's time for the judgment day. Couldn't even stick to your own conceit. 75, where's it at?
Yeah.
But then they can't rhyme with then. That's a terrible reason. Like, come up with a different line.
It is. I assume that also part of it is because 70 is an extra syllable. So if you say 75, you're getting 2 extra syllables as compared to 65, 65. But again, it's their song. They didn't have to set it up like this. They don't have to do the 65, 75. They don't have to ever do it. They could have picked, if they had started from the top and just started picking like kind of more random dates, that would be fine. They made this pattern and then they just break it when it becomes inconvenient. Just don't have the pattern.
Not to mention, I've witnessed Bob Dylan go fucking boogie boarding across syllables on multiple songs. If he can do it, they can do it.
Absolutely.
You just sing it quicker.
It's also, I was not expecting this to get weirdly religious.
Yeah, it was an odd addition. Now, given that they're looking into the future and it's so technologically advanced, I was surprised that they brought Jesus into the mix. And then I started to really try to picture what they've described up to this moment. And basically, they're describing Jesus coming back to witness a planet of monsters. No eyes, no teeth, limp arms, wandering around in giant spider apparati, no buttholes. Tim's on the top of a giraffe. giraffe. I don't think you can be raptured if you've been sewn to a giraffe.
Oh, yeah, no, that's actually true. So in addition to shoes, you have to have all your remaining parts. If you lose a limb, like, they're going to have... Like,
Careful.
Well, so no. So here's the thing. I'm just saying, save that limb.
Like in the fridge?
No. Like, I mean, well, if you want, I'm not going to tell you how to save your limb. I'm just saying, make sure you have it handy. If you bury that thing, make sure you live close to that so that your relatives can retrieve it and put you back together with it once you're dead. You've got your nice shoes on.
So if a shark eats your arm, you're not going to heaven.
Oh, God, no. The shame of a shark alone.
Oh, but if a bear eats your arm, you can't go to heaven.
Probably not, no. I don't think so.
I think you need to check the text. Gino, put it on the whiteboard. We're going to check the Bible later.
Excellent.
I'll remember what it is. Just check the Bible.
No, I think, but seriously, I think you have to be, because Jesus is going to rapture you out of the ground. If you can't find the rest of you, what's he to do?
Yeah, but the soul doesn't live in the arm.
No, but your soul's arm, like, you have to be a complete soul.
So it's like the T-1000.
Possibly. Explain in greater detail.
So rather than the soul, say, being in like the heart or the brain, you're saying the soul is throughout the body. And so if any singular piece is missing, then the whole is lesser. Much like the T-1000, if you could have ever isolated the various melted bits, he would have been less of a threat.
It is a diffuse soul, yes.
Interesting. So let's say, just for instance, I lost just my toes. That's 4% of my soul.
Are you able to wear nice shoes with these toeless feet?
Yes, but they are filled with artificial wooden toes.
Well, okay, are they mahogany? Do they have a nice
the toes are not well maintained.
And
nobody sees them though. They're an abesion.
and so this could be either a reference to these fictional wooden toes or your actual toes, which are also not well maintained.
Hobbit-like is a word you've used. Rudely.
Yeah. They're talon-like in many respects.
Yeah, my feet are not great. I will admit that.
Anyway, the point is, nice shoes, make sure you ideally just don't lose any parts of your body.
Whoa, that's a lot to ask. I mean, is this why you're always saving your fingernails and various other body fluids?
Well, that and the pillows. Our pillows and our mattresses in this home
have all the skin cells?
They're filled with my hair and fingernails, yeah.
Detritus.
Yes.
Listeners, write in hatepodmail@gmail.com. Would you like exactly 1 ounce of Tim Detritus? We can work out a deal. $5.
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right. Yeah. Scrape up some skin cells and hair.
Please don't, though. You don't want it.
That's cool. Yeah, no, you don't want it. But if you want it and you want to like sniff it or something or inhale it, chop it up, do lines of Tim.
Okay, no. Because then you're getting a little bit of my soul in you.
Yep.
And then, God, Jesus is going to be so confused.
Yep.
What if he is able to locate the rest of me? So let's say you eat my thumb, right? I'm asleep and you eat my thumb.
I'm with you so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm wearing my nice shoes and I bleed to death via my thumb artery.
Okay.
Jesus comes down to take me to heaven, right? That thumb is still in your stomach.
Yep.
He's calling that thing back home.
Does it rip out or does it carry me with you? Do I get to piggyback? Is it
I assume
posts on a
it's
bike?
going to pick you up by your stomach. So your entire back is just sort of arched. Your limbs are hanging
not
limp.
great.
And you're lifted up until finally your stomach meat gives way. And the thumb and then you, of course, fall to the ground. Mangled.
Yeah, but it's not like when you go to heaven. Well, I can't believe I'm having this conversation. It's not like when you go to heaven, the body goes to heaven.
No. This is the thumb soul.
Right. I feel like the thumb soul could just travel through me like a ghost.
It could.
Wouldn't be like a solid.
But, I mean, how is Jesus getting revenge that way?
Okay. Anyway, song keeps going. In the year 8510, God is going to shake his mighty head. That doesn't rhyme. He'll either say, I'm pleased where man has been, or tear it down and start again. Whoa, whoa. This is maybe the most interesting part. So it takes 1,000 years for God to judge man since he's come down in 75.
Oh, that's in the Bible. There's 1,000-year reign.
Is there really?
Yeah.
What do you mean reign? Is he like king of the apocalypse?
Well, no. So after the rapture, the 7 years, Garrett, of I don't know what, the apocalypse, he's going to come down and set up 1,000-year kingdom, after which I believe believe, well, I don't want to get into the Exordium und Terminus, but after that 1,000 years, you have the aforementioned Terminus. And again, I don't want to give anything away. Point being, 1,000 years. Yeah, this checks out.
Oh, okay. Weirdly okay with this. I do like the idea that either God's like, all right, I like how society's doing. Again, picture monsters. Or is just like, fuck it. Let's just tip over the whole thing and start it over.
Yeah, he is remarkably childlike, and when he loses, he likes to take his ball and go home.
That sounds right. In the year 95, I'm kind of wondering if man's going to be alive. He's taken everything this old earth can give, and he ain't put back nothing. Whoa. Yeah, okay, this is probably the most accurate. If we somehow make it 10,000 more years, I assume gasoline will be made out of the poor or something awful, puppies.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're definitely hurtling toward Mad Max times.
Yeah. Or we'll have replaced all gasoline-powered cars with electric cars, but there won't be the infrastructure to support the electric cars, so just like really wealthy people will have cars and other people will not.
You're saying that's going to happen in like
100 years.
Less.
40?
Maybe less.
Oh, well, I look forward to dirigibles making a comeback.
Oh, yeah. I would like to fight somebody in a rigid airship from my rigid airship. Like,
what would be the method of battle?
Cannons along the side.
Might I recommend the cannons be replaced with tennis balls? Rigid airships, despite the name, famously fragile.
Yes, as were ships.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean,
guess that's true.
And also, of course, we would be swinging with ropes from ship to ship, murdering those pirates for our glorious cowboy kingdom.
Okay, well, I was picturing you and I doing battle. We're not going to do that now.
No, you can come.
No, I'll go with you, but I was picturing it more like a game of sport, not death.
Oh, no. This will be playing for keeps. We can practice if you'd like. I'd love to do that.
That sounds good. Yeah. All right. Song continues. Now it's been 10,000 years. Man has cried 1 billion tears. For what he never knew, now man's reign is through. But through eternal night, the twinkling of starlight, so very far away, maybe it's only yesterday? Ugh. Yeah, it's not great. I guess maybe it's not too late to stop all of this from happening, or possibly it's all happened before, it will happen again, and will continue to happen through all time.
I don't understand the 10,000 years, though, right? Because this sort of implies to me that he thinks... Like, the song doesn't start in the year
Earth
zero.
Restarts every 10,000 years.
Well, I mean, that could potentially happen, but I don't understand what the timeline is, because the song doesn't start in the year zero. Humanity didn't start in the year zero. I don't know when is the 10,000 year rollover?
This might be a hardcore Christian song.
It is, yes.
I think we're starting the clock when JC's on the scene.
Okay.
Wouldn't that be year zero?
Yeah, roughly, yeah. So they're just Christians from Nebraska. This checks out. They do use the, I mean, it's not really mainstream, but it is in certain sects of Christianity, the Exordium und Terminus. It comes...
is that like the birth and death or something?
Yeah. Well, no. Oh, you son of a bitch.
Oh, you and your Moloch-worshipping weirdo friends.
Hey, let me tell you something. When you see the great stone owl, you will bow before it. You'll have to. Or the stone will burn you.
Or Cheney will burn you.
Yeah.
Bow to the owl.
Yes.
Last verse of the song, Tim. In the year 2525, if man is still alive, if woman can survive, they may find. So it's the first verse all over again, alluding to the idea that this is in fact the Matrix, you are the one, and he's beginning to believe.
Yeah, this song makes no sense whatsoever.
Absolutely not, but I sort of enjoyed listening to it. I recommend everybody give it a listen just once. I didn't find a music video, did you, Timbo?
There is no official music video. Somebody put together the song with footage from the film Metropolis, and it works pretty well.
Oh, that's fun. Also a film everyone should watch. That brings us to How Did It Do? I feel like we kind of already said it, but I'll ask anyway. How did it do?
Well, great. It sold at least 4 million copies in the US alone. It sold more than 10 million copies worldwide. It was nominated for a Hugo Award, which I don't think is a first on this show, but I can't remember which other band that would also be true of.
Must have been a slow year.
Yes. Well, Hugo Awards, of course, are won by people like Robert Heinlein, Philip K. Dick, Frank Herbert, Arthur C. Clarke, Isaac Asimov, and I guess this song is as good as the things those people wrote.
Feels like the Cliff's Notes of all of those people's books.
It does not. It also has the honor of being inducted in the Clear Channel Memorandum of Lyrically Questionable Songs post 9/11, side things like Rage Against the Machine, System of a Down, and Alanis Morissette's Ironic.
Why this song?
I don't know. I think it's paints a negative version of the future, and we all just wanted to be sunshine and rainbows while we sent a generation of our people to go get maimed and also spend approximately $8 trillion to kill just shy of 1 million brown people.
Pretty sure they greeted us like liberators.
They did for like a week. And
For
then,
like a week. Then we didn't get out.
yeah.
Anyway, what did people think of it?
Well, Garrett, I have a Robert Christgau review for you, so we can play the Robert Christgau game.
Wow. For the song or it's got to be the album, right?
I think it's for the album, but there is nothing on the album but this song.
I was going to say, one could argue, what album?
Right. Anyway, so the Robert Christgau game is, of course, I will read a review by famed music critic Robert Christgau, who is also a famed crazy person. His review may or may not have anything to do with the music. His grade may or may not have anything to do with the music or his review. And then Garrett's going to try and guess what a crazy person thinks.
Love it. Hit me.
Zager and Evans make Simon and Garfunkel sound like Marx and Engels. The only reason this is not an E is that the song has sold 1 million copies. That means they have to be doing something right. Garrett, what does Robert Christgau think of this?
D+.
D-.
Oh!
Really didn't care for it.
Yeah, sounded like he didn't. That's an excellent review by a crazy person, although not so crazy this time. I might have given it a C+. What did slightly less insane people on the internet think?
Well, Garrett, there are 147 total reviews on Amazon.
Wow.
4.8 out of 5 stars on average, 88% 5 star, 1% 1 star. The first, by Robert K. from 2012, said, I was very happy to find this #1 recording for the week of July 12th, 1969 by Zager and Evans. Time magazine ran a story in the July 18th, 1969 issue about the song, suggesting it was written by a computer at the Rand Corporation, but according to the story, was written by Rick Evans in a half hour. The article states in 1969 they were only thinking of the future of their next meal and had to borrow $500 to record the song. 5 out of 5 stars.
Brought to you by the Rand Corporation. I don't even know what that is.
Just generic evil, I think.
Yeah, like I know it from like references, but I don't actually know what they did.
Kevin, 2013, titled his review Astounding, Terrifyingly Prophetic. With so many prophecies and scary insights here, it's hard to pick a favorite. Maybe mine is the bit about everything you think, do, and say is in the pill you took today. So now all the kids are on meds for ADHD, women are on antidepressants, men are on Viagra, and our celebrities on everything. Learn something, look in a mirror, check out this poem from 1964. 5 out of 5 stars.
That guy, pound for pound, and I'm using that correctly, least accurate facts. just all over the place.
Yeah.
Women are on antidepressants, not men though. The men are on the Viagras, which is definitely the same thing. What? And this didn't come out in 1964.
It was
literally
written in
all your facts are
1964,
wrong.
though.
Oh, well, that's true. At least partially.
Yeah. And then that guy tried to steal it from his buddy.
Right. Any other reviews?
Yeah, I've got a couple. Mary F. Erickson titled her review Earworms. This is from 2016. This song has been in my head for a while, so when a gas customer's total came to $25.25, I finally had to download it. I've always liked the song, and it makes one wonder about God's plans if he would make us wait that long for his coming. Of course, God's plans are capitalized, he is capitalized, his coming is capitalized. 5 out of 5 stars.
Do you think that person works at a gas station?
Yes, I do.
They could have just been getting gas and the person in front of them came to $25.25.
Could be, but I don't think so. Blair Frank from 2013 titled her review An Early Wake-Up Call. This almost seems to be drawn from Einstein's worst fear, the triumph of technology over the human senses. You can't make this stuff up. 5 out of 5 stars.
I have fear that by proposing the theory of relativity, that one day humankind will be rid of their buttholes.
He did say roughly that. I have one more for you, Garrett. This one is by Kevin D. Anderson. It's entitled Carrie Underwood. It's from 2014, and every bit of this is in all caps. I won't scream it, but picture me
assume
screaming.
you're screaming.
I love Carrie Underwood from the first time I heard her on Idol. This song is in honor of all the tornadoes that have occurred. 5 out of 5 stars. Now, you might think for a second that this guy accidentally wrote this instead of writing it on a Carrie Underwood song, but I do know for a fact that he purchase this song because this is a verified purchase. So
What?
yeah. Kevin D. Anderson,
Okay.
let us know more of your thoughts. Write in.
Yeah. You have some sort of synesthesia's wrong, but
It's not
you're putting
entirely
stuff in the wrong places.
Yeah.
Anyway, good reviews, Tim. Not great, but good. Who's this for?
The most boring time travelers,
Okay.
comedy writers that want to parody and make a much, much better version.
Fair enough. And that's going to bring us to final thoughts. I guess first thing I want to say, now that we've been all the way through it, just as boring as I thought. I had to struggle. I had to struggle for notes this week.
Yeah, we really should have done that one about that guy who is not allowed to have sex with that lady in Wichita Falls. Well,
I'm glad we didn't. Also, Wichita Falls, of all places.
it's very specific. It's the sort of thing that makes it sound autobiographical.
Doesn't it, though? Fun fact. Oh, no, I'm thinking of mineral wells. Never mind. Damn it. Had a Nick Cage fact, but it's about mineral wells. Okie dokie, Tim. I think that's going to bring us all the way home. So, having really talked about it over, under, and through, I'm ready to ask it, do you hate this song?
I don't, but again, I really, this should have been so much better. Just any sort of imagination whatsoever. I think just listen to the Futurama version to get what this should have been.
Fair.
What about you, friend? Do you hate this song?
No, but if I had to listen to it for another week, if it had been one of those fated weeks where we had to do it for 2 weeks in a row due to scheduling, I'd probably get there.
Yeah, I think 2 more listens I might be there.
Oh, wow. Just around the bend. Okay. Luckily, Tim, I got a real special surprise for you and the listeners later on in the episode. So that's the low point of the episode. That brings us to listener mail. Would you like to go first, or would you like me to?
You can go first. I fear we might have picked the same one.
So mine is from Redacted, due to the nature of the dark secret that is revealed here. It's best we not say who this person is. But thank you again for writing in. And folks, it's a good reminder, hatepodmail@gmail.com. We love to get listener emails, but we love even more to get your dark secrets. So write on in, hatepodmail@gmail.com. Reveal your dark secrets. And we will or won't read them here on the show, depending on what you say. Now, I already heard back from this person, and they seemed weirdly flattered that we were going to read this, though we are going to read it redacted, because my God, you should be ashamed of yourself. All right, let's get into it. This person writes, "Hi, Tim and Garrett. I have written you before, but that was before I finished listening to all of your episodes, so my references were stupid and outdated." All caps
Accurate.
for some reason. I am back with new, less outdated references, a lizard-themed dark secret, and the answer to one of your questions combined. This is the best email I've read in ages. This person writes, "I don't remember which episode it was, but in one of them you asked about eating lizard eggs. I think. It was a while ago."
No, I used to feed. Well, hold on. I think what she's referring to, he or she is referring to, is the time that I ran out of eggs for your daily omelets and I made it out of snake eggs.
Probably. And this person writes, it was a while ago. "Well, my dark secret is that I once cooked and ate my pet lizard's unfertilized eggs because I felt bad about wasting them."
Oh my God, don't. You don't have
do
to
that.
feel bad.
Female veiled chameleons have to lay eggs every few months, even if they aren't fertilized. Think chickens, but like 50 eggs at a time every 3 months. Let me just pause there right now and say, ew. They also spend up to 48 hours dutifully digging holes in their lay bin until they have the perfect one for their eggs. Very much like the book turned Disney action-adventure movie Holes if Shia LaBeouf laid eggs at the end of it.
I don't like the phrase lay bin.
Lay bin?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair. I do like the alternate ending to Holes where Shia LaBeouf lays several eggs in his holes.
And they show
That was the whole
it.
point of this.
They show it.
Yeah, they
every
show
bit of it.
every gory egg. A lay bin, if you're wondering, is a bin of damp sand and dirt you have to give them to lay their eggs in, or they can't dig the perfect hole and they just keep the eggs inside them until they die.
Jesus Christ.
Cool pet.
How many lizards does it take before you figure out that you need a bin of damp sand?
Or how many bins of damp sand do you have to create before you get the ratio right?
Ugh.
Anyway, this email continues. Also, if you get your ratio of sand to dirt wrong, or it is the wrong amount of damp, they will sometimes refuse to lay their eggs and die. Chameleons are exhausting pets. Anyway, one time after her egg-laying marathon, I decided to cook and eat them in order to validate her experience. They are oval and leathery, smaller than a dime, and full of yellow-orange goop with no white part. They taste like very salty egg yolks, 4 out of 10. They weren't very good, so now I make them into things like jewelry and coasters instead. That might be another dark secret. It's pretty weird. It is. Congratulations. That's two. So that's the answer to your question and also my dark secret, because saying I once ate my pet lizard's eggs, but they were so bad now I craft with them is not how one makes friends. LaFace, this person.
I'm very upset. Now, here's the thing. Because the name is, of course, been redacted for me as well, I am unsure if I know this person in real life, so I am worried that just as I fed you snake eggs, I may have accidentally eaten chameleon eggs.
Right. I can say fairly confidently you don't know this person. I will say there is a follow-up to this email.
Okay.
So obviously when I read this, I couldn't stop reading. I tried to never read the whole email, couldn't stop. Too crazy. This person, congratulations, you caught my attention. And that's not easy to do. So I read the whole email and I replied. I wanted to ask first, is it okay if I read this, provided I redact who you are, because, I suggest it. And two, what do you mean you craft with them? What's that mean now? What is crafting with lizard eggs? Turns out, mostly it's turning them into coasters, kind of encasing them in resin, letting them dry out.
Okay. That's less weird than what I was thinking.
What were you thinking? Like earrings?
No, I was thinking that, like, you would get a bunch of them and, like, somehow hook them together into a vague circle-like shape, and then you set your drink on leathery, tied together.
No. They're just trapped in, like, probably an oval of resin. Get your crafts in order, Tim. Anyway, it was, the most important part, and the reason that I demanded this be redacted, the age at which this person did this.
Yeah.
Their 20s.
Is that good or bad?
That's not good. I was hoping they were like 14.
Oh, I was hoping they were like 60.
What? Just an old crazy person.
Yes.
Again, I love that you did it. Love that you told us. Tim and I have done infinitely stupider things. I once scrubbed my entire tub nude with very harsh chemicals and burned my penis. There you go. That was dumber than what you did. So there you go.
Right, and this is because you didn't want to get bleach on your clothes, and so instead you got it in your urethra.
Just dragged my penis through it for hours. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, I'm not the stupid here.
Yes, you are.
That's this person. Great email, Tim. What lizard egg eating email do you have for us this week?
Well, I have the same email, and I'm going to read it as well,
as though you didn't read yours.
Right? No, I have what I believe is a YouTube comment, but I copied it down quite a while ago. This is from somebody named Bo Judden. This is from the Lil Xan episode, and he writes,
"Oh God.
To be fair, you have to be on a certain level to understand Lil Xan. For instance, when he says, Xanarchy Militia, yeah, take a picture, yeah, you know I'm up next, yeah, you know I'm up next, it's a node to the classic Le Deserteur by Boris Van. And the lyrics in Slingshot are incredibly poignant these days. Take, for example, the stanza, heard my raps, they like, nah. Now they ask what my price, I'm like, no, out of sight. I'm like, yeah, out of sight. It speaks to the devaluing of the arts happening at a time when the arts are more and more a part of our daily lives, though it's all mass-produced and doesn't benefit or encourage the artists. And you really should revisit Diamonds, as the lines, diamonds be wet on my wrists, yeah, diamonds be wet like a bitch, vividly depict the sensation that jewelry that is on his wrists is obtained through such brutal labor practices that they physically feel wet, as though there is blood dripping on his hands. Anyway, no judgment, just thought I would explain it to educate you about little Diego Xanax. Bo, fucking funny comment.
You're a very funny person. Mr. Zan, when you say diamonds be wet on my wrist, is that a commentary on the blood diamond industry? No, man, I was talking about my drip. Right, the dripping blood of the industry of the blood diamond. No, baby, I'm just talking about my drip.
Genius outside art.
Good stuff.
Yes.
Wow, that guy, I hope is a very satirical satirical funny person. It
Or an
sounds that
insane
way.
person.
Well, that's the problem. That's the other side of that coin, because you're either funny or insane. It's a thin line. I've spent time on both sides of that street. It's hard to cross.
Yes. We also, if you'd like to hear, have a new song submission by Desharusian95, aka the much easier to pronounce Finn, which is a parody of I Want to Be Sedated.
I don't think I've heard this.
I haven't either. I just got the email.
Oh boy.
The candlestick makers are I will lose. Why hate this album? Getting to heaven but wearing nice shoes. Why hate this album? There's cowboys on the red ball, present in the hall.
Garrett, due to production issues, we put that in afterwards, so I don't know. I'm going to say, well done, Finn.
Thank you for the submission. We, of course, always encourage everyone, heypodmail@gmail.com. Send us your song submissions. About time for some new intro and outro music submissions being taken at this time. Great email and or YouTube comment, Tim. That brings us to music news of the weird. And I have got quite a surprise for you. Would you like to go first, or would you like me to?
No, Garrett, you seem like you've got a load ready to go, and I do not want to stand in its way.
Do not stand in the way of my load. Yeah, that's what I meant. So I put together the usual music news of the weird, and they're probably similar to a lot of the things you have. And then I stumbled onto one story, and I'll bet you probably even saw the same story. And that story, Tim, was that the tally is in. We now know exactly how many complaints the FCC received after last week's Super Bowl as we record this. Or maybe 2 weeks ago, Super Bowl.
There were a lot of angry Christians.
Right. So then I got thinking, wonder if I can get my hands on those reports.
Ooh.
So I went a-digging, and I did find all 103 complaints lodged with the FCC following the most recent Super Bowl.
That is way
And-
lower than I was expecting.
I know, right? Way lower. Effectively, nobody complained.
I complained.
It
It's for unrelated reasons.
Well, I think I found which one is yours. So I went through all 103 and I pulled my favorites, which amounted to 9 quotes. They range in length. Some are literally one word and some are as long as 8 sentences. I'll read a couple and then you can do some news. Then we'll come back to a couple more. What do you think of that?
I like it.
All right. Warning, some of these are really offensive. The complaints, to be clear. All right. So first one up. These are complaints lodged with the FCC. And if you want to, you two folks can find all 103 of these. It's a good time. Suggest you read them. Here we go. First one. I will not watch this again next year if this is how you are going to disrespect our nation.
Ooh, I like that.
Huh?
It's
What
an affront
what is-
to America.
How? They know the NFL, like when National Football League isn't actually like the Air Force. They know that, right?
Is it?
It is. They think it's an armed force. So you got the Air Force, the Marines, the Navy, the NFL, Major League Baseball. Well, because it doesn't have national. You got the NHL, then you got the NFL, NBA, and for some reason Major League Baseball, it's not a US sanctioned. Only because you got Canadian teams. That's why.
Right, yeah.
I guess the
That makes
NHL
sense.
has Canadian teams. Anyway, next one. And this one is, there's like 80 of the one I'm about to read. This is like the number one complaint across the board. Quote, Rihanna repeatedly grabbed her privates from the front and the back, one time lifting her fingers to her nose to sniff. Outrageous. Get this disgusting content off US airwaves. Our children are at stake.
Are at stake.
At stake. They are at stake. Tim, they're gonna be grabbing their privates from the back and sniffing any day now.
I'm not okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty confused by it too. But that was like the number one thing. I got
Did they
kids
all
in this
mention
room.
from the back?
Not from the back.
Okay.
That one was special. There were 5 from the backs. But so many, I got kids in the room. Although, so I obviously don't think this way, but if I'm trying to meet them halfway, I don't know. Did you watch the Super Bowl? I was
did, yes.
skiing. Okay. So yes, it was mildly sexual. I could maybe see some sort of warning like, hey, if you got like kids under 10, heads up. This is going to be mildly sexy. Maybe. Right?
It's a lady.
Because they have the internet.
It's a lady dancing about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pregnant lady dancing about, completely covered.
You know what? Just got a little sexier.
Ah, fuck you. Anyway, that's the first 2 I'll read. What do you have for Music News of the Weird, Timbo?
Well, Garrett, in Eddard Sheeran MBE news, apparently Eddard's childhood nickname was Tingly Ted. Now, we know this because he recently launched a hot sauce named after his childhood nickname, which again is Tingly Ted, and it will come in 2 spice levels, tingly and extra tingly. Now, this all, of course, feels like some sort of weird code he used with a childhood molester, but that's neither here nor there. He said about this, I travel a lot, so having a bottle in my suitcase wherever I go can spice up any and every meal. Seemed like a good idea. I knew I didn't want to do a watery hot sauce, as they usually all get relegated to the same shelf of other random hot sauces. I wanted to make a sauce that took the same pride of place as ketchup. So, for what it's worth, Eddard Sheeran would like to molest your taste buds with his tingly sauce for old time's sake.
It's called Tingly Ted?
Tingly Ted, yes, it comes in tingly and extra tingly.
Comes in 2 flavors, Tingly and Ted. I can really taste the Ted.
Yeah. It says it was mixed by, it's on the bottle. So he said it's named after his childhood nickname, but on the bottle it says mixed by Ed and Ted, which makes me think that Tingly Ted was not his childhood nickname. It was the nickname of an imaginary friend or adult figure who claimed to be an imaginary friend and did the tingly stuff.
None of this is happening.
Yeah.
You're asleep right now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awful.
Yep. Anyway, read me some more of those complaints, Garrett.
Ugh, yikes. Hopefully the rest of your news stories don't cast a pallor on my ridiculous comments. All right, this one I pulled from the middle of a very long and angry tirade. Quote, she included suggestive and lewd actions, profane lyrics at the Super Bowl, and was dressed in a suggestively open, quote, jumpsuit that revealed immoral clothing underneath.
Oh, well, that one
What?
I kind of get.
What? Immoral clothing?
Yeah, there is a whole code of what's moral and immoral to wear. It's all for women, to be clear.
Curiously, does not apply to men. Oh boy, this next one, Tim. You're going to think that I'm reading the wrong thing. I promise you, this is a formal complaint lodged to the FCC by a real human. Quote, in 1972, Woody Allen directed... Sorry. We're going to take it from the top, Gino. In 1972, Woody Allen directed a film, Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Sex, but Were Afraid to Ask. Around 1975 or so, this comedy sex film was shown at the drive-in, then located in Russell County, Kentucky. I never forgot it, especially the white uniforms worn by the sperm characters. Rihanna's halftime show took me by surprise, to say the least. However, the obvious Woody Allen factor was not lost on me. Every one of you watched, saw the sexuality from the latex bra to the crotch grabbing and her pregnancy. And I have to pause. Obviously, there's a lot going on here, but there was no latex bra. She was wearing like a hard plastic molded like battle suit bra, if anything. She never grabbed her crotch. She got near it.
But what about from behind?
Oh, maybe a little from behind. And since when is pregnancy sexuality?
Well, it implies
Every one of
sexuality.
Well, I guess. It implies there was sexuality, but it's over. Anyways, complaint somehow continues. I have to wonder how all of the dancing sperm characters got past censors to be aired. What?
Are they? Oh, okay.
Every one of you that watched saw the sexuality from the latex bra to the crotch grabbing and her pregnancy. He just didn't have a third thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Should have included the sniffing. That's what most of them did. She sniffed it and she licked it. Some of them said licking. She definitely didn't do that. Anyway, what other news do you have?
Well, Garrett, in Roger Waters continues to be a dick news. We recently discussed the feud between Roger Waters and David Gilmour, and also David Gilmour's wife, Polly Sampson, and his putting in a good word for Russia to the UN Security Council. But now he's gone too far, Garrett. He is re-recording Dark Side of the Moon so that he gets all of the money instead of his bandmates. In an interview with The Telegraph, he said, I wrote Dark Side of the Moon. Let's get rid of all this we crap. Of course we were a band. There were 4 of us. We all contributed, but it's my project and I wrote it, so blah. Now, I did a little searching here. Waters is the sole author on 3 of 10 of the songs, Money, Brain Damage, and Eclipse. He has a co-author credit on 2 others, Time and On the Run. So, in my mind, that puts him at about 40% authorship. So it's unclear what the fuck he's talking about. But
seems like a selfish shithead.
Yes. Also, so that will be out for your ears in May. I suggest you don't listen to it, but his Frankfurt concert was recently canceled, German officials citing anti-Semitism. He was too anti-Semitic for the Germans.
Wow. I'm not going to lie, Tim. Stories are not fun this week.
Oh, I thought that was pretty fun. Anti-Semitism and Ed Sheeran being molested by Tingly Ted?
Well, sure. Easy.
Allegedly. Teddy. He's now
Little
making hot.
Teddy
Listen,
Tingle.
they
saw past it.
It's right. It's water under the bridge. They're making hot sauce together.
I feel like it's a alternate alter ego.
Oh, well, that's a huge alleged then.
I think it's all alleged all the time.
Ooh, that should be the name of the podcast.
Yeah, it really should.
Garrett, read me some more sexy things about Rihanna's halftime show.
Absolutely. I'll do 3 this time. One of them's real short. Quote, America is better than this. No wonder we have so many sexual assaults. Looks like you guys promote it.
It's a very she was asking for it, did you see what she was wearing type comment.
Oh, God, you're right. I didn't even think about it like that.
Yeah.
Although I do like the looks like you guys promote it. Who's you guys? The FCC?
The FCC for being so permissive, the NFL for hiring her. Yeah,
right, but they realize they're not writing to the NFL.
Right, but the FCC will pass it along.
Probably not. Anyway, next review, quote, oh boy, quote, she spread her ass cheek at the crack. She rubbed her pants where her labia were 3 times.
3
Where'd
times.
her labia go? Where'd her labia go, Tim? It's where they were. They're gone. Third one for this round, from Throckmorton, Texas. This person simply wrote, filth. I wanted to include that one because that was like the 6th most, maybe 3rd most used word in all of these. This filth, I can't believe this filth is on here.
Yeah. I get it.
What other music news of the weird do you have?
Well, Garrett, in blotting out David Crosby from our collective consciousness news, Neil Young is releasing a new album with Crazy Horse called All Roads Leave Home, but he's making it a more group effort with songs penned by some of the other fellas this time, so he's changing the name of the band to Melina, Talbot, Lofgren, and Young in what seems to be a deliberate fuck you to the memory of David Crosby, and also maybe a little Stephen Stills and Graham Nash.
Goddamn, Neil Young. Invincible petty man.
Yes. Yeah, well, don't call him invincible, Garrett. His circle of Willis is so fragile.
Aneurysm proof?
He is not aneurysm proof. He has.
Well, I guess not proof, but he can't be killed by conventional means.
That is not true. No. Oh my God. Ugh. All right. Well, do you have any non-Rihanna news?
No, I'm not done with my Rihannas.
Oh, God damn it. Okay, Garrett, more Rihanna news.
Thank you. Warning, this is where they start to get offensive. Like real offensive. Quote, you have a black he-she grabbing her cunt on TV for the world to see, including my kids and grandkids. You can't put this shit on national TV.
Oh, that's the
you
sort of
overlook this
person...
trash because you're run by the Democratic Party. You say you're not, then prove it and find the shit out of her. Sick and perverted. Not an artist, just trash. Find the bitch and please do your job. Copy sent to all the newspapers, waiting for results. Yeah. Kiss your grandkids with that mouth? Yikes. Yeah, that's not productive. And the last one, Tim. Quote, as the Super Bowl drew to a close, Mr. Bradshaw was getting ready to interview Coach Andy Reid, yet felt the urge to fat shame him on national television, calling him, quote, big guy 3 times, then saying, quote, waddle over here. How rude and degrading to call an adult male big guy repeatedly on Fox Sports. Who pays Bradshaw should discipline and or fine this man, truly beyond the pale and uncalled for.
Okay, never having been called big guy myself, I think that that's probably intended, at least in part, as a compliment. Like, so for example, Garrett repeatedly, and I don't particularly care for this, but Garrett repeatedly refers to me in public. So we're at an airport counter, for example, and he's saying, I would like to reschedule this flight for me and my butch little friend back there. And
you hate that.
My butch little friend. Here's the thing.
I don't see what the problem is.
You do. You do. It was crafted very specifically to upset me. The point is...
Well, I could have called you my effeminate, lanky pal.
Right, but neither of those is true. The reason it hurts so much is because of how true it is. I am your butch little friend.
Butch little fella.
Do not care for it.
Oh my goodness. Nothing better. 2 favorite things to do with Tim. Fly and rent apartments. Just 2 opportunities to make a lot of crazy comments.
Yeah.
That does it for my Rihanna news. Any other news you'd like to share, Tim?
One last thing. In this might have been interesting 50 years ago news and also happened a lot 50 years ago. The Rolling Stones are making a new album, and this will feature both Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr. Charlie Watts, as we all know, sadly died about a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago. So I guess Ringo is probably going to be covering some of the drums for him, although apparently Charlie recorded some of it before he died. But this was repeatedly reported as some sort of like decades-old rivals finally coming together in the twilight of their careers story. And, like, I'm pretty sure the Beatles sang harmonies on some Rolling Stones songs.
Yep.
Brian Jones played saxophone on some of the Beatles songs. The Beatles wrote songs specifically for them, including their first hits. The Rolling Stones did backing vocals on All You Need Is Love. And they did that mediocre at best rock and roll circus thing together.
Ugh.
I'm not sure.
They're not rivals, and they've done this repeatedly.
Yes.
This is not news.
Also,
they're both 80.
Right, and this is not going to be a good album.
No one will hear it.
I think a fair number of people will hear it. We won't hear it. Well, we might hear it for approximately a week.
Excellent. Let's see. I guess the only other news I'm worth sharing that is not Rihanna related is, did you hear about Lance Bass's interview about that time he tried to go to space?
Yeah, he's doing a new podcast about this, I guess.
Oh, I guess. Well, let me save everybody a little bit of time. He tried to go to space in 2002, but instead just got a gun to his head and a whole bunch of threats. So he was set to ride aboard the Russian Soyuz spacecraft with 2 cosmonauts on a journey to the ISS, which all sounded very insane to us in 2002, but, you know, it's the early aughts. As I mentioned earlier in the episode, we were doing crazy stuff. He was supposed to spend 10 days in orbit conducting research, which again, what? But whatever, he wanted to go. And
Lance Bass is a scientist.
I guess so. The plan was for the trip to be sponsored by, and this is where things get a little hinky, quote, unnamed Hollywood filmmakers, end quote, who were meant to cough up $20 million to pay for Bass's ride to space. He apparently completed 4 months of training at Russia's, quote, Star City. I did not know that's what they called their training center. He underwent pre-launch tests, even learned how to speak Russian for basic tasks. But over the course of this time, he was also threatened repeatedly by Russian officials to give them money. There were even apparently a couple weekends where they just kicked him off the base and said that his training was over. And then one instance, he claims that they put, quote, a gun to my head and were like, where's the money? Where's the money? But I wasn't paying for it. And they were unnamed, what does he say? Unnamed Hollywood filmmakers. Ugh. Right?
Yeah, that's not what you want.
Yeah, it feels like a real Perlman situation, or who is that fella that made those X-Men movies that you shouldn't go to his pool party? He's gonna get real. Yeah, feels like that sort of situation, and then funding fell through.
Yes.
Anyway, all right, Timmy, that brings us to my favorite part of the episode. What album are we going to be listening to for an entire week straight before we come back here and spill our guts about it?
Well, Garrett, I have some incredibly bad news for you.
Oh.
For the next week, we will be listening to the Steven Seagal album, Songs from the Crystal Cave, released in 2004.
This thing has been in the hopper for years. We've come so close before. Was this a straight up random poll, or did somebody play with this? We've been circling the drain for ages.
I don't think anyone suggested it recently, but
okay.
Yeah.
I think I would rather listen to 12 tracks of loon jazz, or jazz loon. That's what it was, jazz loon.
No. We'll
God,
be doing this.
I think it's 13 or 14 tracks. Something about Punani is said repeatedly.
I have no idea.
I've now told you everything I know about it. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Going to be quite a history, that's for sure. Be curious to see what you do there.
Yeah, I plan on getting the 3-part dollop and just inserting the audio into where the history would go.
I could see how they might have a problem with that, but they'll never know. Until then, Timmy, if you're listening still, what you could do if you wanted to help out the show is you could rate, review, subscribe, follow, whatever it is your various service allows you to do to say, I really like this and I'd like to keep listening to it, or at a bare minimum would like to do something to show I want to support them. That's all we ask for. If you got a little more time, you can open the Apple Music app and give us the 5 stars. If you got a lot more time, you can give us a little bit of a review there. Doesn't have to be nice. Just throw the 5 stars in there and then be as mean to Tim as you absolutely can. I enjoy it and he'll take it. So, let him be your punching bag. You could also reach out to us, heypodmail@gmail.com, or go to heypod.com, click on contact us in the upper left-hand corner. It does ask for an email address, but if you're sending us a dark secret, feel free to put in a fake one. That way we don't know who you are. Or if you're feeling like bragging, you can put in a real one. But, send us whatever you like. Artwork. I want to see Tim's head on a giraffe's body, or I want to see a giraffe's body on Tim's head. Either way. You can also reach out to us on Instagram. That's HatePod. Twitter's Album HatePod. I'm G Harvey Tweets on Twitter if you want to talk to me. We've got Discord servers. We've got subreddits, so you can talk about us, talk to us, reach out directly, all the things. It's not that hard. There's only like 10,000 of you, maybe a little bit more, so we can cater to each and every one of you. you. As always, thanks for listening for Why I Hate This Album. I have been one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
I have been the other, Timothy P. Richardson, and on July 14th, 2017, Garrett Zager Harvey said, "This is important. There's no foreshadowing in reality. It's just a series of events that actually happen." Oh wait, that makes me look stupid. God damn it.
I was going to say, that's one of the more intelligent, coherent things I've said in the last 5 years.
Ugh.
There's cowboys running through my dreams. Nothing's quite the way it seems. I joined the Navy, got kicked out in a week. My facial features aren't distinct. Try to find some meaning in these songs. The genius is a genius, got it wrong. No, it's a lobster murder sex thing. It's the bleaching of the rear. A full assault on both your ears. The riffs are too repetitive. The lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides. The cover art's a mess. Listen to it for a week. Now that week has passed. It's the Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Gary.